creativity, ideas, innovation, change, leadership development, youth in entrepreneurship. Only on
Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz.
Good evening and namaste. Welcome to a brand new episode of Youth in Entrepreneurship Season 2. You are listening to Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz. I am Asna, your radio host. This program is co-sponsored by Utsa Learning Center and it airs every Sunday from 9 to 10 p.m. Youth in Entrepreneurship is a radio talk show where we interview and share stories of entrepreneurs and attempt to understand the current scenario of entrepreneurial business in Nepal. The main objective of this show is to promote innovative ideas of our younger generation. Today we have not one, but two amazing guests on Youth in Entrepreneurship. They are Mr. Prem CN, the founder president, and Mr. Shyam Sukumar, the international coordinator of Cheers Nepal. Cheers Nepal is a youth-led organization that strives to provide a platform for the talents and ideas of the young Nepali mind. Let me welcome Mr. Prem and Mr. Shyam on Youth in Entrepreneurship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, tell us more about Cheers Nepal.
Cheers Nepal is a youth-led organization that strives to provide platform for especially youths to spread their ideas, to connect their ideas, and to connect them for the betterment of the country and to conducting the various activities in the country.
So, where did you guys meet, and where and how did the concept of starting Cheers Nepal come from?
So we met through a common friend, Sudish Pyakurel, who was a student of Buran County School with Prem, and me and him went to the same high school in the US, Belmont High School. So we met through that, and we have corresponded since then.
Okay.
So the concept came in 2013, actually, when me and Prem were talking about how we should create something for the youth of Nepal because Nepal right now is in a very sad state, especially for youth affairs, and there's not many opportunities for people in Nepal, especially the youth, and they're all having to go to different countries around the world. So we came up with this idea that we should create something like an entrepreneurship avenue that will stay in Nepal, that will motivate the youth of Nepal to stay in Nepal and work for something towards that end. So yes, that's how we met, and that's how the concept started.
So what are the various projects that Cheers Nepal has done?
So from the beginning of the starting of the Cheers Nepal, we started with different projects. One of them was Cheers Talk. It's the talk program where we call one innovator to share his innovation, and the youths, they gather and they share and they learn from the innovator. And the other project is Cheers Pro, and Cheers Pro is the platform for practicing leadership, capacity building, interpersonal skills and other skills. And other we have is Cheers for Education project. So from this project we provide scholarship to the deserving students to study up to the high school, and we have also started library in the various districts, and we have got another project that is Cheers in Action. So from this project we run various action related activities by youths.
Okay, so talking about Cheers Talk, according to you, what has been one of the best talks that has happened?
I think the one of the most beautiful talks we had was the talk program with entrepreneur Anil Chitrakar, and it was excellent.
Okay, so what did he talk about?
So he basically talked about the possible challenges and possible the opportunities that the Nepalese youth they can have and they can learn through the entrepreneurship, and he basically focused on the youths, how we can get engaged with such activities, and so that we could stop youths from going abroad and all.
Okay, so I recently read somewhere that in your recent project for Cheers in Action, you started feeding street children every week.
Yes.
That is a great initiative, but my question is, you need food every day, so is feeding street children once a week enough?
So for every project, for every activity, so it's never sufficient, but it's something we started because we felt, and it's something we could afford. So that is why we started with feeding street kids once a week. That is something we could afford.
Okay, so where do you get your fundings to feed the children?
So for funding, so we have started with our own pocket, and slowly I'm sure there will be more hand will be joined, and I'm sure more and more organizations, people will be joining our venture.
That is really great. So, how do you finance your projects and activities? How is the organization sustaining itself?
We have had a lot of small donations from around the globe. That's how we're functioning. That's our primary financial monetary support, I would say. And we've also had many GoFundMe projects, like GoFundMe, the website, where people from around the world have donated towards like cheers campaigns, like trauma relief camps we did in Rosua and Langtang area of Nepal, and also for like building a library in Gorkha. We've financed through our GoFundMe project, and also we have had a bunch of small supporters, I would say, from like from the youth level itself, like who have supported Cheers Nepal through their own like pocket money, like including us ourselves. So yeah, we've tried to do our best to sustain this organization through small donations, because we want to stay at the grassroots, because it's very important to create a strong foundation, like a strong base, so that we can keep on achieving more like as we go forward.
So Mr. Prem, you've put your last name as CN. That is quite interesting. What is the reason behind it?
So when we started Cheers Nepal in 2013, so like I started keeping my last name as a CN, and CN is the short form of Cheers Nepal itself. So I just wanted to expand the idea of Cheers Nepal among the people, among the other network. So I kept my last name as a CN.
Okay. So how long has it been that you've opened Cheers Nepal?
It's been like 3 years now. We started the concept.
So while establishing your organization, were there any legal hassles that you had to face which made it initially difficult?
Yeah, so like in 2013, we started the concept of Cheers Nepal, but after like 2 years, we felt like we had to get registered, because we wanted to get some funds to lead some larger projects. So we had to go to CDA office, police office, social welfare council and other offices, government legal organizations, and we followed them, officers. So like we did like what they needed, like every documents, we prepared everything, so we didn't have to face like a much difficulty with legal process.
So it's been 3 years since you've opened Cheers Nepal.
Yeah.
So has there been any criticisms and hardships that you've faced along in the way?
Yes, it's natural in all over the world. Like when you do something good, there are always the people who backbites, who criticizes, but we have tackled, and we have also received like criticisms.
We've had problems with this, especially in Nepal, like in Nepali society, you know, like when someone's really trying to do good, there are always people who like backtalk you, and I don't know if that's a societal thing or like a community thing, like I'm not really sure about it, but we've had problems. We have had criticisms by people like our rival organizations. Like I wouldn't consider them rivals. I would really want to be like to have friendly relationships with everyone, but the problem with Nepal is there's a lot of competition right now. We have like more NGOs probably in Kathmandu than anywhere else in the world, because there are so many problems in Nepal that everyone wants to address it, which is a good thing that everyone is working towards that end. But the thing is that we have a lot of our ideas have been plagiarized in recent times actually, and all of us are trying to do good, you know, but there's a lot of competition. Like when we're trying to help someone in some place, people always come and say that's their turf, and like we can't really help people there. I mean, it makes no sense, because like not their people, it's everyone's, like it's all like we are all Nepali, so like we can help anyone we want, but we've had problems with that.
And we also like faced problems like there are so many organizations especially in Kathmandu, and we were doing something differently, and later the people started talking like, okay, so like why don't they start doing like connecting more like people, more organizations. There are already existing organizations, you know, they are just are complaining, but we have been tackling.
So how did you handle the criticisms?
So like all of our activities, like all successful activities, all coverages, and like the popularity among the youths, so that is the result of like our hard work, our dedication. So so that is something we have been tackled.
Well, I would like to give one specific example of the kind of criticisms we have faced. Like even right now, what we faced was like we can only feed people once a week. Well, that's at least we're trying to do it. We know like a lot of people in Nepal aren't really doing it. I mean, we may not have a long-term effect on that, but at least like we're doing something, and something is like counts much more than doing nothing at all. So yeah.
True. So, what sort of opportunities do you see for Cheers Nepal?
We are trying to we've created this organization. So Cheers Nepal is trying to diversify into many regions of youth affairs, like microfinancing, and also like even politics. And we're trying to do that because Cheers Nepal, we want to create this into a larger organization that it is currently now, not just as a social organization, but also like something actually that can have a larger impact on the nation itself. What we're really trying to do is like connect Nepal youth from around the globe and act as a facilitator for networking connections. So we're trying to connect people with more entrepreneurial opportunities in Nepal and abroad, like where Nepalis are working almost every sector now around the world, like Australia, USA, UK, and there's still almost like a strategy or like, I don't know, a trend I was seeing that Nepalis tend to hire other Nepalis. And that's especially true with the youth right now, like who are trying to go out of Nepal. Like we want Nepali youth to stay here, to use their manpower to like develop Nepal. But if that's not possible in the current situation, like we want them to go explore the world and have opportunities where they can work for their livelihoods and like actually do something. Because Nepal works on a lot of remittance right now. So if we act as a networking basis through Cheers Nepal International, and this is one of the opportunities not only for us, but it's all opportunity we are providing to people. So people around the world, I mean, not even Nepalis, like there are a lot of people around the world that love Nepal as a country. Like especially we've had this earthquake. There's a lot of opportunities right now for rebuilding Nepal, and even around the globe where Nepali people haven't access to like previously. I would say like for example, they've loosened restrictions on Nepali students around the globe, and like Nepali people, like the Nepali counselors in universities can especially help with that for Nepali people to get more opportunity. And there's not an exact Nepali organization. Like the NRN is a very powerful tool, but to just connect the youth, Cheers Nepal International has worked to that end to connect youth in Nepali youth and like people like youth leaders around the globe, so like they can get more opportunities. So that's an opportunity for ourselves to we're looking at to connect more people as a networking facilitator.
So Shyam, you've lived in the United States too. So what difference do you find in the youth there and here in Nepal?
Well, I was born in the United States, and it's a very different opportunity to learn more about Nepal, like where my mother is from. Like this would be my motherland of sorts. But the thing with Nepal is the youth have lacked a lot of opportunities. We have talent, we have potential. Like even like Mr. Lujendra Ojha, like he found water on Mars. Like that's a very big step. But yet, I mean, that goes to say that Nepali youth around the globe have done big things. Like we have potential, we have the talent, we have the skills. But the thing is, in Nepal itself, there are very few opportunities right now. And I hope it's not the case for the next 5 or 10 years, because this, like in the global age, like this era of globalization, like youth involvement in politics, in economy, in social service is very important to really get the nation forward. So like any nation forward. And there's a huge difference, like how the opportunities gained by the youth in America and in Western countries, in Western contexts, have been very different, and those are opportunities that would not even work in Nepal. Like for example, like international trade, we're not a big market yet for economies around the world, and we're a very small nation, so like there are not many internships, not many outlets, you know, for trade or anything like that. And like trade is very important in any country, but the thing is, we have like so much potential in hydroelectricity. We have like untapped reservoirs of minerals and natural gas and everything, and like there's so many opportunities in Nepal youth are lacking. And I've encountered a specific problem in Nepal actually. The Nepal youth of today are not very interested in like manufacturing jobs and like not even jobs, just like they're not really interested in learning more about their own country, but rather about opportunities that they can use, such as through media outlets and social service outlets that they can use to get outside. But that's not the only thing that you can see. Like in Nepal youth, I've seen a lot of Nepal youth, they're working in factories, like even in Qatar, Dubai, like Abu Dhabi, these places, like you go there to work construction jobs. You don't go there work as an editor in a magazine. So like it's important to train like these people. And what we've done with Cheers Nepal is we've also provided them with skill training. So like not just to how to write, debating skills, but also skills that will improve like their welding, for example. the iron welding, so like they can become good construction workers. Like I don't want them to be construction workers forever, but if you have a choice, like if you have a choice to be a good one, then you should probably use it, because that's very important too. And the Nepali youth of today haven't really been able to like grasp that idea behind that. They worked on we have seen editors, writers, like, you know, for like teen magazines in Nepal. Like there's a lot of like, especially like, I don't know, I wouldn't want to use the word upper class Nepali people, but what I really want to see is like, well, the more privileged, I would say, have always like looked at these jobs as something that like the rural youth of Nepal like would use to go to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar. But that's not entirely the case. Like people have to work. And the thing is, these people aren't really like looking at jobs or anything that would relate to the manufacturing sector. They're more looking at social service works, like even for internships. Like no one's going into like manufacturing internships or anything. And that's what Cheers Nepal has been doing. We've been providing opportunities to people so they can work on skills rather than just like skills and debating skills, like newspaper writing skills. They're good. So what Cheers Nepal has worked to is, well, I talked about skills and everything, but we've attempted to have connections between Nepali youth, so like not people would actually be interested in working like manufacturing labor jobs and opportunities that would relate to skill development rather than just like personal development.
What are the outcomes of your projects and how has it been? How have the people responded to your work?
So it's been like 3 years. We started Cheers Nepal, and our activities and from our activities, so from Cheers Talk only we have like connected thousands of youths, and they have heard like innovative ideas from the innovator, and from other projects like scholarships and like libraries, like thousands, and like in scholarship only like more than 50 students they are currently studying under our scholarship. And the libraries we have started in the remote parts of the Nepal. So like we started like in 5 schools, in government schools, and like more than 2,000 or 3,000 students, they are getting benefits daily.
So where did you establish this library?
In Gorkha.
So did you do any earthquake relief activities?
Yes, of course we did. So we did like for 5 districts, and including Kathmandu and Nuakot, Rasua, Gorkha and Daling. And what we did was in the first phase we distributed different relief materials like rice, tents and these things. And like after 1 or 2 months, so we felt that while distributing relief materials, we felt that especially those kids were badly traumatized by the earthquake, and we felt that okay, they should get some sort of help. So we organized trauma relief camp for like more than 1,500 kids in Gorkha and Rasua. And yes, these are the activities we did after the earthquake.
So you've conducted a lot of projects and activities. So is there any particular incident that touched your heart or that you found interesting, or any story that you'd like to share?
Well, we have had many moments like that have really touched our hearts, and one of the reasons we started the trauma relief camps was because so many children were being traumatized. But specific event I would like to say is what happened last week was we had our first distribution of meals program in Basantapur Darbar Square area, and it was right after the Dasai festival season. And so the food was very simple. We didn't have much resources, but we managed to get hold of at least some chicken dishes that we fed to the kids in the restaurant. And the kids, they were so happy to have meat, because it was one of the first times they ever had meat, like someone was actually feeding them meat. Because usually what organizations do is like to cut down on costs, like they don't really have meat dishes, which is considered a luxury in Nepal. So one of the kids, he was very elated to just have meat in his life, actually, and it was just a very simple chicken dish. But then when he was leaving, after we had given him the meal, he said like it had been the best dasai of his life, and that really touched our hearts, because like such a simple meal like that can be the epitome of like your festival season, like what you would like want to, I would say, like idolize for the rest of your life. Like you will want to have that every day. That's like, I mean, well, not even every day, just your festival season will just be a simple chicken dish. And it's just like, it's sad at the same time that people have to suffer under those consequences, that something so simple is something so great for them. But then you realize that you actually did something good, and like it may not be much, but to him it was like the best gift you could have ever given him during the festival season. So yes, that really touched our hearts.
So Shyam, as an international coordinator, what sort of activities do you conduct abroad to help Cheers Nepal?
Well, as an international coordinator, I lead the group Cheers Nepal International, and we worked as a networking facilitator, as I've mentioned before, between Nepal youth of different areas in the United States, because that's where I'm currently stationed. But one of the events we organized last year was, earlier this year, was the Cheers Nepal Candlelight Vigil in my university, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and we had around 500 people, like not only Nepali people, but also people like who love Nepal and really cared about it, to show up to the earthquake candlelight vigil, and we managed to raise almost $1,100 in just 1 hour, actually, which was a very good deal for like a youth-led organization to do that. And it may not have been much, it may not have done the kind of works we wanted to do, but it really helped our cause. And we've done many more events like that. We also helped out in the Boston Candlelight Vigil, and we've had many donation and charities around the US come to us, and we've worked as a networking site, almost like to help them find real organizations, not just Cheers Nepal, but other organizations that are working in Nepal, and not only for the earthquake, but also they've been working for orphanages and for elderly women and people like that. And we've worked as an organization that helps other organizations find those people. So that's what I've been working as an international coordinator. I look at these organizations, and I also work as a part of the planning department with Prem and our vice president, Mr. Dinesh Thapa, who's not present here today. But I've worked as a planning commission, and what I've tried to do is integrate possibilities of having youths from around the globe, not only Nepali youths, come to Nepal and have an experience of their lives, to actually work in Nepal through Cheers Nepal and all the opportunities I've done. And I've tried to coordinate that. I wouldn't say exactly because it hasn't been like perfect, but I've tried my best to do that.
So talking about entrepreneurship, it is very important for the economic development. And how do you think Cheers Nepal is helping in the growth of entrepreneurship in Nepal?
Well, that connects with our long-term vision, actually. What we're looking forward is to actually attract investment from Nepali youths from around the world, so that they can actually have... So, for example, why do people really leave a country? Because it's better economic prospects in different parts of the world. But if you can get these youth to come back in Nepal and apply their talents, if they're getting paid the same amount of money to use their talents to actually develop their nation, why would they leave anywhere? So we're trying to attract more investment to create more opportunities. And one of our visions is to create almost like a network of businesses around Nepal that would be manned by the youth, that would be led by the youth, and we would work as almost like a microfinance system. So we can give loans to people, like business loans, but we wouldn't really be taking any interest because we just want to help them. But if through the loans we give them the money, they can pay us back, we can help someone else with it. So as a result, like, we get more youths to stay in the country by providing them with monetary prospects to actually have their own businesses of sort, so they can be their own leaders in society, because money in society is very, very important. So yes, we've been trying to do that, and that has been one of our long-term goals, and that I think is very important to entrepreneurship. Not just like Nepali-based textile industries, like carpet industries, that is very good, but we're also trying to diversify into like banking sector, like rural banking, providing loans to rural farmers, like youth farmers and things like that. That would be very useful.
So what have you planned next for Cheers Nepal? Any other future projects?
Yes, so our country have been facing lots of political instability for a long time, and so we are also thinking like to do something civic. So we want to start some campaign or some movement against some movement for like good governance, transparency and accountability. Like these are the main things that like every youth should know. So that, and these things really help the country to grow fast. And like we want to really do something, some movement, or we want to take some steps in long term to tackle these problems.
We talked about Cheers Nepal and the commendable works it has been doing. So now we have a quick fire question and answer round, and it is going to be pretty interesting. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
So Shyam, are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following? Sunrise.
Sunset.
Women empowerment.
Feminism.
Fashion scene in Nepal.
Asna Singh.
Books and writing.
Authors.
Shyam Sukumar.
Legend.
Drawings or paintings?
Picasso.
Youth in entrepreneurship.
Cheers Nepal.
Cheers Nepal.
Youth in entrepreneurship.
Someone you really respect and admire?
Barack Obama.
Thank you. So Prem, are you ready?
Yes.
So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following? Prem Sien.
It's normal Nepali guy.
Okay. Cheers Nepal.
It's the organization that is running differently.
Teaching.
Teaching, part of passion.
Music scene in Nepal.
Growing fast.
Youth in entrepreneurship.
It must.
Family.
Something to do with your emotion.
Cars.
Something to do with your money.
Thank you. So we're almost at the end of our show today. Is there any advice or suggestion that you'd like to give to the younger generation who aspire to do the work that you've been doing?
I just wanted to mention actually about the rapid fire round. I think I did better than Prem.
So yes. So my message for the young generation of Nepal is like, okay, so our life is very beautiful. We have to enjoy it, and we have got a meaning to lead in our life. And being a Nepali, so we have to do something for the betterment of Nepal. And so I wish like all young people come together for the like national issues and to develop Nepal in general.
What I really want to say is, especially to the international youth of, around the world, is please continue loving Nepal. There are many youths in Nepal like you that have not had the opportunities to succeed in life, and it's very hard, especially in a third world country. But I hope people around the world can really connect to this. But please always keep Nepal in your hearts. Please keep loving this country, this small, beautiful Himalayan nation. There are a lot of good opportunities here that are available to people, and especially youth who are probably the most energetic age group in the world, and the ones who can really do it like anything they want to, because you have the freedom right now, especially in the 21st century. There are many different organizations that are working for the Nepali people in Nepal itself and around the globe. So I hope you would support all of these. Not just Cheers Nepal, but all of these, because it's very important if we unite together and work towards the betterment of our nation. So please, if you have an opportunity to work in Nepal, please come back and use your talents here, because the nation really needs you.
We had a really enlightening conversation today, and I'm sure our listeners must have been inspired after listening to your stories and might want to be in contact with you and Cheers Nepal. So is there any contact information that you'd like to share with our listeners?
So we have got our website, cheersnepal.org, cheersnepal.org. It's our official website, and we have got a Facebook page, and we have got also profile in Twitter, LinkedIn, from these, so we can get connected to like all interested people.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you with us today on Youth in Entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much for having us.
If you have any queries or suggestions regarding the show, or if you are a young entrepreneur yourself who would like to be interviewed on this show, you can write to us. You can message us on our Facebook page, Youth in Entrepreneurship, or email us at youthinentrepreneurship@gmail.com. You can also call us on our number 467-0820. You can also like our Facebook page and join our radio group, Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz. Thank you so much for listening to Youth in Entrepreneurship, co-sponsored by Utsa Learning Center. I'd also like to thank our concept director Abhilasha Rayamajhi and our technical support Ashish. We will be back again next week with yet another amazing guest. Till then, take care and have a wonderful week. Namaste.